All right. It's monthly report time. Monthly report time. Here we go. This is basically the monthly report that says, wrong thing. This is basically the monthly report that's like, okay, all of the squadron people are actually here and back and working, and these are the decisions that we made. It's kind of a big one, kind of a big deal monthly report, I think. So this is like the first patch where it's a little bit less of the planning and a lot more of the action type stuff that these people are coming over from Squadron to the PU4, I guess, essentially. So they start out with AI features, which is usually really big, kind of small, which is just new behaviors, and they kept it really simple, which is good because it rarely translates to the PU. Tech is a bunch of stuff that says NPCs should be able to use ladders, join transit, and things like that. Nav mesh on planets, which we obviously have seen there's issues, specifically close to poles they've talked about, is just still working on that. AI Tech also continues to support the designers with additional functionalities for quality of life fixes for Apollo. Apollo, I had to ask around. This is just the new name for the subsumption editor. So just so you guys know, if you've heard that word before, it's just the thing that tells AI what to do, I think. And then for spaceship behaviors, the latest fixes and changes to the new pilot combat behavior were included in the new Arena Commander mode added in Alpha 3.22. We played around with that. I don't know if I saw any major differences. I think it's probably more internally they can tell. I'm not... I don't know how many times I've played like Pirate Swarm on my own time to know the difference between old Pirate Swarm to new Pirate Swarm. But I know that at least DJ was pretty excited for the AI changes in Arena Commander. What that means for us, I don't know, but I had a lot of fun doing Pirate Swarm in a Hammerhead the other day. Team are currently developing a new data loading procedure for subsumption data. All right. And then supporting release builds. Character art, the racing flight suit is done, and its helmet, and continued working on Headhunter's outfits. We have a lot of racing suits. And DJ says in chat, if you directly compare it to regular Pirate Swarm, you'll see a huge difference. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of hard to do, but yeah, I guess you can go back to back between live and that. Maybe it's something I'll try and find a way to display for like weekend review or something. But we have a lot of racing. We don't have a lot of racing suits, but we have a lot of flight suits. So if we go off of what CitizenCon shared about dedicated armors, things like that, you would hope the racing flight suit maybe would improve G-force, like being able to handle it. I don't know, but that would be cool. And then the character concept art team began exploring legendary armors and worked on handoff sheets. If you guys saw the sneak peek from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw the legendary Duster armor there. Ship art. RSI Zeus is going through the gray box phase, and so is the Polaris, right? So they're happening at the same time. One thing that they kind of communicated to us, at least how I interpreted it, was that it was Polaris, and then it was Zeus, and then it was the Galaxy, I think. It sounds like they're going to be able to work on all of these things at similar times because they should be using similar assets. That sounds like a good use of time. Thumbs up for that, right? The quicker they get this stuff, the RSI stuff done, is the quicker they move on to some of the other ships you may want, right? Then an unannounced ship progress well, which who knows when that ship set will be, but it should be soon. 2 variants also. One moved through gray box and began the LOD 0 phase, which is, I think, the last thing. And then the other completed LOD 0 and is awaiting its gate review. Several related bugs were also fixed. No clue what these could be. The variants unannounced. These could be like ground vehicles all the way through things like the Drake cutter stuff, right? Weapon art. Changing the dimensions of weapon optics. I'm assuming this is the dimensions of the new weapon optics. Not really sure. But yeah, we'll have to see. Also, more CitizenCon stuff, weapon wear, things like that. And then various animations were fixed for ship weapons, which, how many of those have you ever noticed? Like issues with ship weapon animations? I don't know if I've ever seen any personally. Community, nothing super worth pointing out there. Economy, always going to be small, guys. I think people are really misunderstanding the whole process of the economy thing here. We've had 10 years of completely ignored economy, or however long we've had 2.0 and beyond. So quite a long time. I think I think it's 8 years now, going on 9. 2015, I believe, was 2.0. These guys are going through step by step every aspect of the economy and sort of cleaning it up a little bit. So we heard that they were going to raise ship prices. Some people like that idea. Some people didn't like that idea. It is what it is. They've lowered the reward capabilities of some of the bounty hunter missions, right? Some people like that. Some people didn't. But they are going through one step at a time, piece by piece, trying to, with big quotations around it, balance the current situation, so they can then make things cohesive, is what it feels like to me. I think that's exactly what they communicated when they talked about the dynamic economy. Somebody, I don't remember who, spoke on Spectrum about it, saying that they were happy with the dynamic economy in its current state, but there is no economy for it to be dynamic with. That's what their attempt is right now, is what it feels like to me, is going through piece by piece and cleaning up little things to resolve some issues there. They're currently looking at the impact of structural salvage on the in-game economy. Structural salvage is broken, right? It is broken from the amount of time it takes to make construction materials versus RMC. Why would you ever take the RMC? That appears to be what they're looking at here. It should not just be from a monetary value standpoint. It should be the time, the process, everything. That's what economy means to me. If they're just looking at the money, overvaluing RMC is not the solution here, in my opinion. So I don't know what, and if they're only focused on the price, which it doesn't sound like they are based on the SCL, they are hopefully looking at the time everything takes, the difficulty of it, and so on. Construction materials should be worth nearly nothing based off of how easy they are to make. And RMC should be worth a lot based off how long it takes to make it. But is that really how it should be? I don't know. Maybe they're actually talking about what we saw on the roadmap for structural salvage, which was creating refinable materials and not just a random new material called construction materials, right? This is the most interesting one. And I think probably the most exciting, most important thing I've ever seen in a monthly report, roadmap roundup, ISC, SCL in the history of this game, was taking all these separate teams and putting them under one umbrella and calling them core gameplay. And specifically to amplify efforts. The character, vehicle, gameplay, and Arena Commander sections are no longer separate. Now, is this just for the monthly reports? Or is this at the entire company? I hope it's the company. And I hope it's called the core gameplay team, right? As the gameplay features team was reorganized towards the end of the year, including teams for Squadron 42, the PU, and Arena Commander to operate as one unified core gameplay pillar. Now it's just a pillar, which is even better. So that, yeah, as the more we read, the more it sounds like there's the core gameplay pillar moving forward. And I think that shows if you look at the roadmap update. right? The one thing I didn't notice here, which I do find to be incredibly odd, is that the mission team was not included in this. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But hey, I do love all those guys there. I don't know if that would affect them and their jobs or something like that. So I don't want to make claims of like this is how it should be and it would affect people negatively. But the missions are so paramount to the way the game works that as features come online, you would hopefully want the missions to be immediately included with it. For example, freight elevators and cargo missions, right? That was a surprise in Roadmap Roundup. That was awesome. I want to see that be a part of this. All right. Anyway, last month, the core gameplay teams continued porting some of Squadron 42 features seen at CitizenCon to the PU, included making many features multiplayer compatible. Porting efforts and remaining code work on recoil improvements and dynamic crosshair were completed. EVA was also ported. All right. Player interaction improvements. We know all this stuff. Master modes testing. Okay. Resource network and life support features were further developed. So this is sort of new stuff. The devs scoping out the remaining work needed for feature release and clearing important tech debt. They also continued to work on jump point gameplay, including the procedurally generated tunnels and flow entering the jump points. Okay. Progress was made on several technical initiatives in January. For example, support continued for server meshing and server crash recovery. Notably, there were improvements to the usable code for robustness and reliability. I'm assuming that happened with the replication layer test that we did. Maelstrom, that we just found out this is what DJ's team, the Arena Commander team, has moved on to. They're doing Maelstrom and the transit system, I believe, currently. So this is the dynamic destruction system. The current workload involves evaluating existing setups and generating workflows to fit the new pipeline. The team have already started retrofitting existing systems. I wonder what that means, systems, because like for me, I just think ships, right? Including improvements to allow ship landing gear to detach with Maelstrom debris and simplifying the design markup for configuring item control within vehicles. So no more landing gear sitting on the ground at like a jump town. Okay, cool. These changes not only facilitate the new pipeline, but improve on the implementation based on feedback. Nice. Hopefully that means we can salvage landing gear as well. The team also continued last year's work on the transit system, preparing it for an upcoming refactor and completing work to ensure the current version is suitable for server meshing and crash recovery. If you guys don't remember, when 3.18 dropped, one of the things that held up big time with persistence was the transit system not being able to work with it. Getting ahead of that now is paramount. So sounds like they're rebuilding that system for that, because it needs to be rebuilt every time we have a new technical hurdle. It's always been the bane of everyone. There's been multiple devs that hang out in this chat that worked on the transit system, and it's not fun. So, yeah. That includes elevators, trains, trams, all that stuff. Engineering also continued refactoring the docking and landing systems, including a rewrite for the automatic dock and undock features. So it sounds like those Hull C people are getting the love they probably deserve a little bit. It's just who knows when those fixes will actually come in or those changes. For the former Arena Commander team, wait, what? This is the former Arena Commander team. Okay. That's weird. For the former Arena Commander team, January's focus was on transitioning the Persistent universe to becoming familiar with the workflow and systems, while the team's focus is now on the PU. They will continue to maintain, improve, and provide regular content updates for Arena Commander, albeit with reduced velocity. Okay, that's good news. That being said, the team finished work on these special events and formed a strike team to close out the Resource Network experimental mode. What? Let's go. Okay, that's huge. I did not read this. Yeah, I did not know this until right now. That's such a big deal because I think we all thought that that was dead. The moment they said Arena Commander was dead, it was like, all right, well, how are we going to do Resource Network? Because you cannot deliver Resource Network to every ship without testing it first, right? So This has to happen. And it's happening. That's amazing. Okay. January also saw 2 successful go no-goes for Gravlev and a major update to master modes. Okay. Atmospheric maps were also added. Highly suggest pulling out a hammerhead in the atmospheric map. It's awesome. Finally, for core gameplay, the team worked on a wide range of features for the upcoming cargo update. This includes the new cargo freight elevators, instance hangars, personal hangar, persistence, commodity trade. Okay, commodity trading changes. That's economy side, right? That's something we really need. And associated commodity kiosk updates, cargo grid improvements, hover trolley support, hauling mission support, and more. 323 is the cargo patch. The cargo patch I dreamed of, I feel like. And then bunch of things, UI, design, art, animation, narrative, core tech, to deliver on the full vision. So everybody coming together for one common goal. Finally seeing that is such a nice thing. Hopefully they continue that throughout the process, but it's really, really nice to see this. This is something I just thought made sense to me from a logical standpoint, but just not being a game developer, I always wondered why they worked everything separately, and it seems like they sort of agreed with that eventually. And maybe that's the way they needed to do it in the beginning, but now that the focus seems to be on delivering actual PU stuff, they're coming together and doing that, which is awesome. So far, we're right in the thick of building out core functionality and establishing pipelines, with early prototyping proving out functionality and providing input for iteration. There's still much work to come, but progress has been solid to date. Okay. In-game branding. This is something that I did read, and I find it to be really funny because I do get very frustrated with ISCs that are not very interesting or fun. And we're getting an ISC about 2 sentences in a monthly report. It can't possibly be a good one. But here we are. So alongside the environment team, in-game branding continued integrating branding elements into the new distribution centers. The development of Pyro's Outpost continued too, with attention on final signage to enhance the visibility and communication. So we're getting an ISC on 2 sentences. It's going to be great. Live tools. What is live tools anyway? Network stuff? Yeah, that seems like what it's like. Locations. EU Sandbox continued to develop upcoming distribution centers, while Sandbox 2 worked on location markup for the new star map and high-tech colonial cargo elevators. Okay. So we're getting fancy elevators as well. Progress was made towards Pyro's initial release. Alongside the landing zone team, continued to work on the cargo feature. All right. Now, I got to say this. This picture is awesome. So when I look at this picture is awesome. But then it also looks like it's so 9 months ago. Because it's all 1 SCU boxes. We don't deal with 1 SCU boxes anymore. We deal with 32 SCU, 24 SCU, 16 SCU, 8 SCU, 4 SCU, 2 SCU, and 1 SCU boxes. So when you see an entire giant warehouse of 1 SCU boxes, you kind of look at it and go, yep, this is already out of date a little bit. And you're like, ooh, do you think these are 4 or 8 SCUs? Do you think they're going all the way through? So to me, I just remember that this is the same facility that we saw at CitizenCon. That was like a demo of when they probably were only working with 1 SCU boxes, right? So I look at this and go, this is going to be so fun and this is going to be so awesome. And then remember like the tedium of moving 1 SCU boxes and that it got kind of frustrating after a while. So I assume these will eventually be updated to handle the larger boxes or whatever. But this was like where the raid demo was and stuff. So it also looks super fun. And you also need it to maybe take some time to make the raid more interesting. But I do look at this and go, while so updated, we are so outdated all at the same time, right? So very cool, but maybe it'll be very different by the time we get it. Montreal's location team is closing out mandates. Still derelict settlements. I love this stuff, but I don't know how you guys feel, but I also really hate how non-interactable everything is. especially when the teams use items that are interactable in other locations, specifically red and green containers that are used for looting. So you walk up to them thinking that they're loot containers and they're not interactable is infuriating. So, yeah. Settlements don't have a reason to go to. The game doesn't have a reason to be played. So there's the reason problem doesn't just exist at settlements. It exists in the entire game. So we can't just knock the Montreal location team for problems that are not their own, right? Now, mission design has its own section. So I was kind of hoping that mission design would be included in that core gameplay thing. But it sounds like it's not. They continue to work on Siege of Orison. We know that. We also know about Blockade Runner now that we saw Roadmap Roundup, which I think we need to maybe just learn more about. I don't know. It just didn't excite me based on the Roadmap Roundup description. But we'll have to see. And then just numerous quality of life fixes. Okay. No mention of cargo missions, even though they're the mission team. Confused. Narrative. I'm looking for specific things here. Mission givers. Because they can write up all the mission write-ups they want. But I'm not really seeing anything along the lines of what Jared communicated on SCL, making it seem like the way we interact with missions might be a little different going forward. So we might have to learn more in a future update about that, but I didn't see anything there. R&D, the temporal render mode is something that they're working for with atmosphere and clouds. I gotta say, the most delayed, disappointing CitizenCon thing was this kind of stuff. I believe it was supposed to all be in 321 was what they communicated. Not all of this. I don't know exactly. Like some of the things were communicated to be in 321 or 322 proper. Never came. So don't really know what happened there. And then UI. Freight elevator UI. Art muckups. Freight elevator, resource network stuff. Commodity kiosks, which we know is changing a little bit. And yeah, just basic stuff from UI. And then VFX. Focus on fixing log spam that had built up over time. I don't know what that is. That's like an internal thing. And because it's not something I think we see. And then latest version of Siege of Orison and a few Pyro outposts. And then web platform. We got a new launcher. Don't know what that did. Because my launcher looks the same. And then content experience, simple image, component to provide different solution for image management. Don't know what any of this is, but here we are. So that was the monthly report. Big things. The core team, I think, is probably the hugest change. Everybody coming together to work on a common goal. I mean, look at how big this section is, right? Economy, again, I think is always important to be looking at every little feature, and they're going through things nice and slowly. By the way, isn't this the mobile game guy? That's why we have all the ship sales the way we have them. And I guess RSI Zeus and the Polaris being worked on at the same time is kind of a good thing. And that's really it. Nothing too crazy. It was the beginning of the month. We always pick on this guy because he comes from a mobile game background. Apparently, he's like the chief marketing officer or something. So I think I literally have like an image, like an emote image of just his face. And just buy ships, guys. Really important. So, yeah. Monthly report, though, I gotta say, it may not sound like it. It's still early in the morning, but the core gameplay idea it makes me very happy and pleased. He comes from everywhere. Logitech, Blizzard, Perfect World, Kabam, etc. Okay. For us, it's like we see the mobile game stuff seeping in It just is what it is. Every game does it, but it's still sad. You can still be sad about it. And everybody's got to point at somebody. He's the guy we point at, I guess. But yeah, that was that was the monthly report. And I gotta say, yeah, again, the core gameplay thing is everything. And then the in-game branding being 2 sentences and that being our ISC this week is also just a funny call out. So there we go. Monthly report in the books.